This week, I've a very special episode of my podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Frankie Sheahan, co founder and CEO of the Pendulum Summit, one of Europe's, if not the world's, most influential gatherings for leadership, performance, and personal growth. Since its beginnings over a decade ago, Pendulum Summit has become a flagship event in Dublin, bringing together world class thinkers, leaders, and change makers to explore what it means to lead well in business and in life. Over the years, Pendulum has welcomed an extraordinary calibre of speakers, from Tony Robbins and Richard Branson to Joe Malone and Jack Canfield, Wim Hof, Lisa Nichols, and Kelly Holmes, to name just some of my personal favourites, having attended over the last few years. The upcoming summit on January 23rd continues this tradition with a stellar lineup, including Brené Brown, alongside voices from business, psychology, innovation, and sport. So it's a real honour for me to welcome Frankie Sheahan to the podcast. Frankie, thank you for joining me.
Delighted to be part of it. Thank you very much, James, for thinking of me.
I'll start off by saying that probably a lot of people who tune into my podcast regularly know of Pendulum and have probably attended before. But for people who haven't come across it, how would you describe it? What is it?
Well, I was at, you were there, Tony Robbins, 10 years ago,
Yes.
and I followed on. I went to his business mastery and became good friends, and he taught us how to articulate your business. And I wouldn't say this to every podcast, but I think
Right.
your guys would appreciate it. And I'm in the business of leading people to their greatness.
Okay.
What it is, I suppose, look, life is tough as nails, right? Life is very hard. And I think, and I don't want to be negative when I say this, but I think if you accept life is really difficult, I think every day after it can be a great day,
Yeah.
Whereas if you have this expectancy that every day should be a great day and I should be happy and I deserve to be happy, I don't think anyone deserves to be happy. I think you got to go out and make your life a happy life, and that's just the way life works, So, so what Pendulum is ultimately, we're inundated with, lots of pretty good academic programs, and we have motivational speakers, and I think what we do is I suppose when you have the academia meets the practitioners, we have what is called Pendulum Summit, and the world's #1 business and leadership event,
Yes.
right? And we don't have time is the scarcest resource of all, James, right? So we don't sort of beat around the bush and let speakers talk for 2 hours in a roundabout way. The people and the level of delegate and company that attend is pretty sensational, right? So I suppose the commitment we give to them is that their time, the impact for their time they're spending there is going to be world class. So,
Yes.
you might have a Steve Wozniak and he's there and he's like, right, for the first hour, I said, no, Steve, it's 45 minutes, right? That's it. He's like, what? Every other event, they're trying to get as much as they can out of it. I said,
Yes.
no. The people in this room, they want impact and they want it fast. If you're on your deathbed and you only have 45 minutes to give your wisdom in your chosen area to these people here, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretend it's your family, pretend it's whatever around you. Give that to us and give it to us fast. Impact, right? So that's what it is. And I think in life in general, and you'll hear the likes of Warren Buffett saying this, and you'll hear, some of the top Bill Gates, that they're always improving, small
Yes.
increments on a daily basis, and sometimes we get caught up and we fall into systems and we're busy. People are busy. I mean, I have 5 kids. We're getting pulled and dragged, and everything's going on mad, and you're socialized. You're trying to keep everything going and juggling everything. But what Pendulum does is it pulls you back in. And it's like it's a reset, right?
Yes.
Where am I now, right? We're putting away the emails for a bit, and and where am I now? Here we're presenting some of the best speakers in the world, and that's the commitment we're giving. These guys are the best, right? And they're going to give you so much information to digest and help you recalibrate where you are and set your own little goals going forward, whether it's for work or business or whether it's for your own personal development. And that's exactly what Pendulum
Yes.
does.
Yeah. And as I say, I've been to most of them. It should be like those coffee shops you go to, Frankie, you keep getting stamped and maybe you get
Yeah, yeah.
one year
Oh, we're
free.
coming up. We're going to come up. We're going to come up with a cap system like the rugby, So how many caps have you got?
Yes.
We'll get that in due course. Yeah.
And I'm looking across here, at my personal development bookshelves, and so many of the authors on it have spoken at Pendulum, which is real
Yes.
credit to you and Norma and the team. But I'm also looking at the notebooks because I think I have a bit of a fetish when it comes to journals anyway.
Yes.
But I have each one that's marked for what I've gotten from the Pendulum of that year. And it's
Wow.
an
Yeah.
amazing resource to go back through. And
Brilliant.
two things struck me when you were speaking. One, I think it's a Byron Katie quote where she says, "If you argue with reality, you will lose." And all stress arises from arguing with reality. And I agree with you, life is tough. But what Pendulum gets for me and for many people I know who are attendees as well, it gives them time to think, and I know in my executive coaching work that's what so many people crave, is just time to think. I think you mentioned Tony Robbins. I think it was him who said, the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your doing. So if you have time to think, your actions are maybe more aligned or whatever that comes from it. But I would operate from a place, and I suspect you'd probably agree, Frankie, that everyone does or at least tries their best, whether that's in personal life or in work. But for me, something like Pendulum helps people widen and deepen their definition of best.
Yeah. Well said. Well
You've
said.
got something new. I never thought of it like that. Or you get a bit of pep in the step, or you try something that maybe you wouldn't have tried before because it's giving you a boost
Yeah.
of confidence, or confidence being faith in yourself, and all of that sort of thing.
Sure.
Gosh, when I think of it, I'm getting, I'm getting G'd up with what 3 weeks to go.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this upcoming event on the 23rd, because I know you have an incredible lineup, and probably headlined by the number one speaker in the world. I'll let you give up.
Yeah, thanks, James. So it has been a 2-day event. We started with a 1-day event for the first 3 years. Then we extended to a 2-day event, right? And this year, actually, we've been chasing Brené Brown so hard for the last 7 or 8 years ago. Myself and Norma flew out to South by Southwest, and we doorstepped her basically and said to her, Brené, you know you're coming to Ireland. She says, "Oh my God, I'd love to come to Ireland. I've never been to Ireland." And Norma said, "Yeah, sure, look." And she said, "I love sport." She's mad into sport, as you know, and
Yes,
mad into pickleball, actually. I'm mad into paddle tennis, but
right.
we'll try and have some game when she's over. But she was very, she's very, very keen to come over, right? So I've been 7 or 8 years trying to get her over, and just the timings weren't working. Eventually this year, she said, "Look, there's a small window." Well, her people said there's a small window, and it is on the 23rd of January, right, which is not our date traditionally. And
Yeah, because it's a little later.
it's
Yes.
later. It's normally earlier. So I rang the convention centre, and they were like, "Frankie, we've a booking there." You know what I mean? And I said, "But geez, come on now, guys. We've got." I did drop her name in, and
Yeah.
in fairness, the convention centre, they were very, very accommodating, but they couldn't actually give us the day before because it's somebody else. And we said, in the interest, I suppose, in what I was saying earlier, and the scarcity of time and everything, I said, you know what? Let's just do the 1 day this year, and let's lean right into that, and let's be forensic. Let's make this be the best one we have ever done, right? So if we normally have 14 speakers, it's going to be 7 speakers, but let's be forensic in each of these. So we closed the deal with Brené, and we said we would do the 23rd, right? And Brené, like, by the way, is the best in the world at what she's doing. I mean, the top companies in the world are using her. Oprah and the Oprah Foundation, they all use her on a regular basis. She's a beautiful way about her, and she articulates things really nice, and she's so popular in and amongst that sort of leadership and HR space globally. Do you know what I mean? There's a few of them in it, and I mean, one of the quotes, I'm still reading her book at the moment. Well, I'm listening to it actually, Strong Ground, and it's all sporting analogies, which I'm loving. But she said, She said, "Don't be nice and tell me what I want to hear. Be kind and tell me what I need to hear."
Yeah.
Right? I like a small thing like that, and if you come away from that with just with one little thing like that, you know what I mean, and encouraging people around you, your peers or your partner or other people, come on, give me the feedback. I'd be used to that from the rugby, I suppose, from my professional days.
Mm.
But anyway, but that's Brené, right? And Brené aside, I mean, we have the co-founder of Netflix, Marc Randolph. I mean, he is, for some people, he's bigger than Brené. They're just, you
Yeah.
know, more the business. They're like, oh my God, what this
Yeah.
guy started and what he's become, unbelievable. Then we have people say, no, 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 forget about the two of them. We've Rory Sutherland, right? Who is Rory is only over in the UK, but I mean, he is one of the greatest marketeers ever, and you know, brilliantly articulated and full of life and energy, and so bubbly. But then we have. You know, we've a whole host. We've Alison Levine, we've Richard Susskind, who's going to be our
Yes.
AI speaker. And our theme this year, actually, which is important and it's very aligned to the likes of Brené and others, is leading beyond the algorithm, right?
Yes.
When we threw it around in the office, James, initially, I was like, God, lads, we can't have algorithm inside the tagline. You know what I mean? And we tried a whole lot of other ones, and we kept coming back to the algorithm. And we were like, but it's exactly what Brené talks about. It's exactly where we all are. Like, you know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, AI has absolutely taken over. But
Hmm.
we can't have a situation where the tail is wagging the dog here. We need to rehumanize it
Yes.
and go with it. You know what I mean? Lean into it, but make sure that we're the ones mastering it. And it's actually perfect for what we're doing. So obviously every speaker is going to touch on it in some way. Richard Susskind is going to go into it in a bigger way, and yeah, so it's going to be. It's only one day. It's going to be. So we're going in. It's going to be electric. It's going to be. It's like the room is going to be full. Like in the
Yes.
last 2 or 3 years, over the 2 days, it was probably 80% full. That type of thing. It's going to be sold out. It will be. We're on course now in the next kind of probably 10 days, which is great. And the other thing as well, James, that people will get out of this as well. And by the way, every person doesn't agree with he was great or she was great.
Mm.
They say, no, yeah, it doesn't resonate, but I loved him or I loved her. It's mad. But there's an osmosis that goes with it, James, as well, that you're inside in a room with other people who are quite open to exactly what you were talking about earlier, new ideas,
Mm.
change. And so very often it's at the coffee break, you're talking to somebody there and you're saying, would you try it this way? Or would you do that? And they're can do types of people in the building. So you have that osmosis as well that you're like, oh, Jesus, he's doing that, she's doing that. You know, I could do that. You know what I mean? And the speakers are just there, and there's they put their trousers on one foot after the other
Yes.
as well. You know, and I always say that when these big celebs come in, I'm not phased by them at all myself. I'm like, well, they're kind of working for me in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're totally normal people as well. You know what I mean? And there's a kind of a motivation within that as well when you meet those people. So it's going to be this year. I'm actually. It's like the old days again. Really like the Tony Robbins days. It's going to be. It is actually going to be an unbelievable day. It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, no, it will be electric. I secured my ticket months ago. um, and I'll be there with another fresh notebook in hand. Although, as I was saying to you before we came on, Brené Brown is probably the person I quote the most. I could probably quote stuff back to her. You know, it's like,
Yes, yeah,
that's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
when did stress become a status symbol is one. Or another favorite one of mine is we're both the map makers and the travelers, when it comes to new creation and innovation and change. Like there's no roadmap anymore.
Yes,
And of course, that's where the excitement of life is as well, when you're at the cutting edge and
yeah.
trying something new. Um, I suppose we better let people know where they can get tickets. I suppose the mothership, Frankie, is pendulumsummit.com.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
then, as you say, they're selling fast. And what was I going to say to you? Here's a slightly different question. You obviously lead the Pendulum Summit yourself and Norma. You've been exposed to so many different up close, the thought leaders, the motivational speakers. Um, recognized people. How has your own leadership style or approach changed over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I don't want to sit here, James, and portray that I'm perfect in any way. Do you know what I mean? Well, I'm like lots of your listeners there. I'm going through, get up in the morning and it's dark and you're, oh, Jesus, I have to get up to go
I
to work,
know.
trap the kids and you're shouting at the kids, who left that light on, who did this. And,
Mm,
I think that normality, I suppose helps with the pendulum offering. You know what I mean? What we're trying to do is, we're trying to give sort of just small increments in all aspects of your life. I'm after
yeah.
losing the train of my thought there now. What were you saying? What
About
was the
your
question?
own, about over the
Oh,
last
my
few
own
years,
leadership. Yeah.
how your own
Uh,
leadership has
yeah, like so
changed.
we went through, like, I suppose I went through a stage there about, you know 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, and we wanted to take over the world, and we did a pendulum in New York, which was fantastic as well. We'd Deepak Chopra and Jack
Yes.
Canfield, and Jack Welch was supposed to do it, but he got sick, and his wife Susie did it instead at the time. But anyway, it was a fabulous learning curve, and then I suppose COVID came really and
Yes.
gave us a good kick in the ass, to be honest with you, right? And it broke a lot of habits. I was watching a program last night on RTE, and it was talking about the rural pubs, and a lot of
Yes.
the older people didn't come back anymore after COVID. Like, and there, to a certain extent, and I know the supermarkets have a science around that as well. If it's closed for a while, consumer behavior can change fast, and we could fall out of budget cycles, and that kind of happened. And I think we were so keen to get out of the blocks. The first one we had back, we had in the RDS in a very
Yes.
open space. And, when I look back at it now, it just, the whole, it was probably too early, even though the speakers were excellent, everything was great. But if I look back, and, it probably cost us a bit, you know what I mean? So we're only getting back now really to where we were.
Yes.
But then I suppose then I think every business, every over 7 or 8 years, according to Enterprise Ireland, they would have told me this, that it goes, it increments, and then it hits something, whether it's COVID or something else, it hits something, and then you have to rebuild again, and it's more sustainable. So I suppose around my leadership was, we've a kind of a flat thing in the office. We've about, the bones of 10 people in total, and there's no hierarchy of structure really. Do
Yes.
you know what I mean? We're all sort of at the same level. Everybody's open to say anything. Occasionally I'll pull rank in something. And very often the guys will change my mind. I said, no, Frankie, I don't think so. I think this is the way to do it. And I'd like to think I'm very open to that. But occasionally I just say, no, that's it. You know, uh, and that's the way. And I suppose I would have got that from, I suppose, my rugby days at Munster in Ireland. Like, there was, yes, you had a person who was captain, but in the teams I played, there was leaders everywhere. Every
It has to
person was,
be. Yeah.
and a leader doesn't mean you do all the talking or anything. It just means that you're minding that area, you're minding that, and there was no. When I never had a captain who was like, Shh, quiet lads, I'm talking. It was, on the contrary, they'd be encouraging everybody to, speak up. So I think my leadership changed in that I try and get that balance, as we all are, between, life and business and work. And I built a new house a few years ago, and I probably pushed out the boat a bit, right? So I had to really buckle down and drive things on. But then at the same time, I didn't want to be, I have 5 kids. I don't want to be away in Dubai for 3 weeks at
Yes.
a time, and different things. So I kind of had a good look at all that, and I think I'm after trying to get the balance right. So I'm around a lot. I can drive the kids to school. If there's a play or a match on during the day, I can rearrange things and get out to it and work a bit more that night
Mm,
and to make up for it.
yes.
So
Yeah.
I think I've consolidated a bit, and looking at different things going forward, but growing in a sustainable way. I don't necessarily want to be 50 or 100 people working for me. I definitely don't want that, actually. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to kind of be, work smarter than harder. I think that, and yeah, it's just, I suppose, financial freedom is important as
Yes.
part of all that. And I suppose the good thing about all this, and I probably didn't say it yet, is that I'm always into this space as well. From when I was 10 years of age, I was listening to creative visualization tapes and things about manifesting. And my
Yeah.
mother found in a notebook that I said I wanted to play for Ireland someday when I was only a teenager, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
wanted this and that. And, so I believe in all that. I'm so lucky that I'm in a space that I actually totally am passionate about. I believe it. But saying that, then there's lots of days you go in and you have to deal with crap that you didn't want to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Just the daily life
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I'm probably gone around in a circle about your original question. But I suppose, yeah. I mean, I have, and I don't see myself as a big leader. I think I've just what I'm probably pretty good at, I have probably pretty good focus, and
Mm.
when it comes to making a decision on something, I can be quite decisive when I do decide. I get good
Mm.
advice, make the decision, and just go for it then and make it happen. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah. 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 It's when you're speaking there about balance, I know in the past it was called work-life balance, and then it was called work-life blend. But for me, and similar to what you're saying, it's sort of like balance in the moment. It's
yeah,
how balanced do I feel today? And sometimes it's aligned, and sometimes it's not. But the also what I'm hearing, Frankie, is that, and it's true, where I think a lot of business people and maybe people more generally are at as well, is a slight shift between achievement and fulfillment. Whereas achievement is the striving and the going and the doing and the goals and all of that, which certainly has its purpose, and it's how we evolve as people and as a species as well. I think that sense of growth and pushing comfort zone. But I know particularly in my one-to-one work, for people who have ticked many boxes of traditional success, they're still uneasy because they don't feel the sense of fulfillment that perhaps they think they should, or they should have earned. But of course, that's a different conversation. But I know, going back to Brené Brown again, I think that's something that she marries beautifully. Not only does she marry the academic and the practical, but she also marries the achievement and the fulfillment bit, because there's no point in being very successful if you're not actually happy with it. And I think that's what you're voicing as well, or what you're experiencing. And I suppose it leads into, well, two more questions. The first one that pops to mind is like a follow-on with the pressure of Pendulum coming up and 3 weeks out, and the demands on your time, and getting everything lined up, and you've got the speakers, and you've got the team that supports you, and you've got the convention centre who you're well used to working with. How do you still sleep at night, though, Frankie? Because if it was me, I'm not sure if I would, knowing that so much of that is coming down the tracks.
yeah, totally. And I suppose, look, we're going into our 13th year of this, so we should be getting better and better every year as well. And I suppose, you get up early and you do what you can in the day, and when it goes to bed, that's it. You know what I mean? I sleep well at night anyway.
Good.
And I'm lucky. Look, we've a very good team there,
Yeah.
and they understand the way it works. You know what I mean? That it's like, so like it's 12 months a year. I mean, we have a sister company as well, Front Row Speakers,
Yes.
actually,
Yes.
which is great, actually. So we deliver speakers into companies and high performance leadership, all those. So it gives us, I suppose, the opportunity to have conversations like we're having now. What are the changing trends within organizations? What's happening? So then when it comes to the program Pendulum, we're able to, we have the cutting edge topics to be able to put
Yes.
in there, right? But the work-life balance is an interesting one, right, James? Because I think people have the wrong, and this is only my opinion on it, but I think work-life balance could mean that you have a project and you work extremely hard for 3 weeks, and and then you take maybe a week off, maybe, right?
Mm.
But you go all in for that 3 weeks.
Mm.
That's work-life balance. And I think where people get come into problems with the work-life balance, they expect every day to be go in at 9 and home at 4 and enjoy this. But I think they'll get more fulfillment, actually, if they go harder. If there's a task like we at Pendulum now, so we're going to build up now, and it's going to be, we go very intense for say 4 months, and then it eases off a bit,
Yes.
right? So you can get your other balance in on the sort of the
Yes.
other time, you know what I mean? But I think that's important. I would call that work-life balance, actually.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
go
I
a
would
mile
agree with
harder.
you.
You know, people in the hospitality industry would not know all about that, or people in the retail, they go really, really hard, but then take a break, you know what I mean, and enjoy it. But I think I think you run into problems with fulfillment if you're just trying to half do it all year round.
Yes, yes.
That's
I
my
think
view of it.
I often, and I agree with you totally. I often describe that as flatlining. When you're
Yeah,
dead, it's
yeah,
like it's the same old, same old. Life
yeah.
is boring if it's that.
Yeah, yeah. You need a bit of
And
stress. You need a bit of
yes,
stress in your life.
yes, and you would know, and I know as well. There is no greater feeling I find, certainly in a work scenario, where you have an injection of inspiration. You have an idea that's grabbed hold of you,
Mm.
and you're focused, and you're in the zone, as what's it, Mahaley would say, you're in flow, and time disappears, and you've suddenly found 4 hours have gone by, and they've been so pleasurable and so maybe productive, or that's a balance.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
another day maybe is completely different, and that's fine. It's what I would call either moving through the gears, Frankie. Some days fifth
Yes,
gear, wonderful. Some days it's clunky in first, and
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's all that's happening. And the phrase I sometimes share with people I work with is, every business will have its own rhythm.
Yes, yeah,
Your
yeah.
business has a rhythm. There's times when it's
Yes,
faster and there's times when it's slower. Sometimes, as the leader, you're the one banging the drum,
yes,
sometimes,
yeah.
but you're looking to align in behind that. And that's balance.
And there's one point in that, James, you've articulated it very well. And I often say this to people, and this might help some of your listeners, or your viewers out there. But that day you're talking about, the day when you have the two extremes, the day you're in the
Yes,
flow, and the day where you just can't get it going.
yes,
And I got this from I suppose, my sporting career as well. A sort of a 7 out of 10 performance on your hard day is better than a 9 out of 10 performance on your great day, if that makes sense, right? I
yes,
mean,
yes,
when that is the day when, comparing it in a rugby sense, we're away in Wales, we're missing a few players, it's not as big a game as normal, the weather is terrible, it's like all the thoughts are going through your head, Christ, what am I doing this for, or
mm-hmm.
whatever, and it's hard, and they get a block down try. No, this is, and you're not feeling good, you're carrying a bit of an injury. That's the day, that's the clunky day you're talking. That's the day where that requires all the effort, right?
Yeah,
Because that's the day where it's hard, it's way harder. And it's not the day where you're in Thomond Park and the sun is out and you're winning by 30 points. Because that's the day you're in the flow. That's the easy day.
yes,
That
yes,
everything is coming. But those are the days that you need to just dig in and
yeah,
actually really grind out your
yeah,
day. That's the real
yeah,
challenge of anyone, I would say, in life.
yeah, yeah. Very well put. Very well put. I'm computing that as you say it. I'm
Yeah,
adapting.
yeah,
I'm adapting that to my own setups.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Yeah, that's stopped me to think, Frankie. Uh,
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
but
I'm
then we
I'm
have
sort
that
of
on day to day with personal things as well, and people, for
yeah,
whatever reason, you get up and you're just not feeling it, and
yeah.
you have to just sort of break down that day, right? Let's get one or two tasks done, and let's battle to get that. Let's get this, we get this, and after a while, then you get through that day, and guess the next day then is grand again. Do you know what I mean? So
I think that's where you build muscle. That's what's coming to mind.
yes,
It
okay,
has to be a heavy weight, and you go deep into your reserves.
yes,
And actually, what's popping to mind there for me is like you go deep into your reserves of courage.
mm,
That's usually what you have to find. It's interesting sometimes, and I think this is where people can get a little bit not confused, but maybe it's a misconception that, say for you and Norm were starting Pendulum 14 years ago. For me, if I'm starting this podcast or, the membership community or whatever the new things are that you're trying, yes, you can build from experience. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, but it's sometimes people maybe in the audience at Pendulum are tuning in here think, oh, we have the confidence to do it. But usually not. It's usually you've got the courage to try it, and then maybe confidence can come afterwards. And your analogy there reminds me of that. It's like when you're digging deep, you're digging into reserves of courage. And you're sort of proving to yourself that you can survive these challenges. And then when you recognize that, that's when the confidence follows afterwards. Or at least that's what I found. Because going back to what you were saying earlier about, the people who are on the stage, they're still real people. I guarantee you most of them, if they're acting like me, will go, did I do a good job? It doesn't matter whether it's to 10 people or to 10,000 people.
We've had Bear Grylls up on stage, and he's been terrified before, during, and exactly what you're saying after. Oh, was I okay? This guy, some of the things he's done, and he's terrified.
I know. I'm actually reading. Here's a slight tangent, but not really. I didn't know that Bear Grylls last year had written a book called The Greatest Story Ever Told, and it's he said of all the books he's written and of all of the adventures he's been on, he said this book is his biggest achievement. And it's a telling of the story of Jesus.
Wow.
As in the greatest story ever told. Yeah. And I didn't know that, he was religious or Christian or spiritual. I didn't know, I didn't know that from him. But it just gave me a whole different angle into him. And I have to say, it's a very accessible book. He sort of said it's a way of reading some Bible verses type of thing. That if the Bible is
it worth the listener read?
I think so. I think it's a great piece of work because it brings us back to all the parables we heard when we were growing up, Frankie. Yeah. But you're getting them in a way that you can hear them again as an adult.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And so much of even, say, the personal development world can be traced back to quotes from the Bible. Like, I think the truth will set you free, and ask and you shall receive, all that manifestation stuff. The origin of that is the Bible.
Yes, yeah.
And I always like to go back to source material. So there was that angle to it. But then there was just Bear Grylls thinks this is his biggest achievement. I'm going to read it because he's someone I really admire, So you never know. Maybe it's his own evolvement, as it were. But it does actually remind me, and I think you've probably seen it in some of your work as we move towards a wrap up, because we could chat all day. But I was mentioning earlier that maybe slight shift from achievement to fulfillment, I think, has been a trend in the last little while. But I've also found, for want of a better phrase, more emphasis on spirituality coming into what has traditionally been non-spiritual spaces. You have a little bit of it, say, with terminology like compassion or self-compassion or kindness, empathy, all of those softer skills, which are ultimately based on bigger themes, as it were. And what I have found, going back to, what was your tagline earlier?
Leading beyond the algorithm.
Leading beyond the algorithm, but there was the one then that you got from Tony Robbins. What you said at the beginning around what you do with Pendulum. Again, it was with
leading people to their greatness.
That was it, leading people to their greatness. So then if you think of, what does greatness actually mean? So for me, it's remembering who we are. And certainly my belief in that area certainly includes a spiritual dimension as well.
Yeah, totally.
I think, as Oprah would say, you can't have fulfillment without a spiritual element to it. But anyway, we could go on forever. I'm going to give you a few rapid fire questions to wrap up, Frankie. And just go with what pops to mind. What's your most cherished possession? So a thing.
I can't be a person, so...
no, or a pet even. No.
If you're listening to this, I was told that it can't be you. So I think it would be... We built a house a couple of years ago there, and we're in it now, so we're delighted with it, so that's definitely it. It's
yeah, home.
home. Yeah,
home.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um, uh, you've obviously, you've had a successful rugby career. You have this amazing company, Pendulum, and everything it does, and you as a source of inspiration for many people. But what inspires you, Frankie?
I the I suppose successful people and all those people you mentioned, they all inspire me.
Mm,
My family inspire me. I
yeah.
think I love my son. I was in Spain. They won a global tournament with the Senior Cup and Prez. They beat Grey College the week before last. I was hugely inspired by that. It
Yeah.
was a massive achievement. I'm going down today. My son is just involved in this 12 swims, and he's raised about 7 or 8 thousand for Marymount Hospice,
Wow.
because his buddy's dad passed away, unfortunately, from cancer recently. So, daily normal things I'm very, I suppose, I don't need necessarily material things or anything
Yeah.
like that. I think, and good stories and achievements. I love that, and it doesn't have to be a financial achievement. Just
Mm,
doing something that when I was doing a bit of coaching in the rugby before with the McCarthy Cup a few years ago with one of my own sons. The first year we had such a good team, we breezed through it. The following year was one of the greatest challenges we ever had, and was one of the best things I was ever involved in. Totally inspired me. So yeah, it's just,
mm.
I suppose, being probably achieving things you're told you can't achieve.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gas, of course, as well. When we go back to the origin of inspiration to being in spirit, it's like,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It's something about the good in me recognizes the good in you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
lovely. We've quoted many people in this conversation today, but if there was a phrase, a motto, a quote, words that are meaningful to you, Frankie, something that gets you to the 7 out of 10 on those days
Yeah.
when you have to dig deep, that can come to mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. One of the ones I suppose that I think should resonate with most people, and everyone talks about goals, and we can get carried away with goals as well, and
Mm,
different things like that. But um, does my behaviour match my goals?
mm,
So it's all well and good saying I want to play rugby for Ireland, right? But like Frankie, you're arsing around there. You're drinking 2 nights a week. You're eating crappy food. You're not training hard enough. So that's a no. You know what I mean? So you have to get a bit real sometimes as well. I want to make a million euro next year. What are you doing like this? Does my behaviour match my goals? And I think it's a very good one to sort of level people
yeah,
as well and get them in the real world here, right? Oh,
yes,
okay, but that's
yeah,
just one. There's
yeah,
there's I love in a sporting context as well. I mean, they always talk about psychologists and sports psychology about winning, and it's all about winning. And I always said no, it's not for me. And when we were in Thomond Park, and we were unbeaten for years in Thomond Park and Limerick in the European Cup, and yeah, it was actually, I think it was John McEnroe said it. I hate to lose more than I like to win. Right? I'll say it again for people. I hate to lose more than I like to win. Right? So
mm.
it's not actually about the winning. It's just I just don't want to lose. Winning, who cares about
Yes,
winning? But I don't want to lose.
I'll
Right?
hate
So
to lose. Like, yes,
I hate to lose more than I like to win. You know.
yeah,
So those ones, and I think you have to come up with your own motivation. What gets you going? What are
yeah,
the things that get you out of bed in the morning and focus you and
yeah.
yeah, as I said, there's probably dozens more now I could come up with, but there are a couple of nice
They're
ones as well.
they're nice. I like the one on behavior matching your goals because it loops
Yeah,
back to what you said at the very beginning around reality.
yeah,
And to sort of say what's his name, Eckhart Tolle, like there is only now.
yes,
There is only
totally.
now. What am I
Yeah,
doing now? Um, Gosh, Frankie, we could chat all day. Um,
absolutely.
so there's still, 3 weeks to go from recording this to Pendulum on January 23rd. Still a few tickets left for Brené Brown and all the other people that you
Yeah,
mentioned. And pendulumsummit.com, the
yeah, yeah. And
website.
exactly. And look, James, I would say to people, look, I understand like it's an investment. Generally speaking, it's people with companies we're trying
Yes,
to go after and stuff like that, right? And we need to the price point is it's what 695 or something like that for a ticket,
yes,
right? No, and we need it at that. We could drop
yes,
the price and reduce the speakers and reduce the venue, but that's not what it's about. And we need to sustain the event going forward, right? But
yes.
I would say to anybody, that this is treated as an investment. This is not a spend. This is
Mm.
an investment, right? And I would challenge them, and I would say to them, if they go with an open mind, and if they don't enjoy themselves, if they don't get something out of it, I would go as far to say as I'd give them their money back. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I mean
yeah,
that, like, because there's something. No, I know I would believe that there's something wrong with you or your business if you can't get something out of that level of and quality. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
treat it like that. Treat it like an
yeah,
investment. It's a absolutely world class event. If you're based in Ireland, it is on the doorstep. If this was in America, I'd be saying fly out to America for it.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
self praise is no praise, but I mean it. Like we travel, myself and Norma, all over the world to try and find new ideas, new speakers, and it comes back through the speakers, through everyone. This is as good, if not better, than anything you'll find globally.
It is. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm what 25 years working in this
yeah,
industry, and to have it in Dublin is incredible.
yeah,
To have it continuing at a level for 14 years is equally incredible. And that's no small testament to you and to
yeah.
Norma. And yes, you've built momentum with it as well. But we are so lucky to have it here on our doorstep. And so I will finish by saying thank you for that, Frankie, because I've
And
benefited
yeah,
hugely from it over the years. I'm looking forward to the event later in January myself. And of course, if anyone's listening today and they do go along and they see me or Frankie there, be sure to come over and say hello in the
please
convention
do.
centre.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love to meet people. I'm a people person. My father taught me that, Jesus, 30 years ago. And he
yeah,
loved meeting people. He had pubs and nightclubs in Cork for a while. He sold, and I remember we were lucky enough. He brought us to Disney World when we were younger, and the people would come up, a waitress would come up to us at the table, and they'd say, hey, where are you guys from, anyhow? And we'd be like,
yeah,
Ireland,
yeah,
Ireland, where's that? What's that like? We were like, it's cold, it's wet. The father would nudge us. Say, Ireland is a fantastic place. It's a absolutely climate is beautiful. Not too hot, not too
yeah,
cold. It's a vibrant place. You should go there. My God, the countryside, the green, and wow, you know what I mean? It was, but he was a very good. He is. He's still alive and well.
oh,
He'd be up
long
at
life to
Pendulum
him.
as well. He'd be up
Yes,
at Pendulum as well. But the importance of connecting with people. I mean, we have a live stream, but we do not promote it at all. We just
yeah,
do it to make it more accessible for
yes,
the odd person. We want people meeting, and it's those chance meetings at the breaks. And what do you do? What do you do? And next thing, bang! There's
yeah,
a new idea. We always try and promote. If you can get an accountability partner there to say, look,
mm,
I'm going to make a few little changes there for me. Any chance you could monitor my changes and ask me after a month, how did you get on
yeah.
with that
And
or
there you
whatever,
go. There you
Yeah,
go. As I often say, it's conversations that make the world go round,
yeah,
and it's all change comes down to conversations as well. And certainly Pendulum, not only will it be thought provoking and inspiring, but it will encourage new conversations
yes, totally,
in the
totally.
room and afterwards.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
looping back, and the very last thing, Frankie, looping back though to your dad, he was leading beyond the algorithm.
Oh, absolutely,
To go
absolutely.
back to your team, no algorithms there.
No, no,
It's
no.
back to that human connection, and I think that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's and yeah, and look, it's as I said, it's an investment. I mean, what Warren Buffett says he says that the best investment you can give is an investment in yourself,
In
right?
yourself, yeah,
And that's what this is all about. And look,
yeah,
as I said, if I can, James, we know each other for a long time. If I can help you or any of your listeners at any stage, or I'd love to people come up and say hello
reach
to me,
out,
and then
yeah,
even just have a chat, whatever. I'd be delighted to,
yeah,
and
a
we'd love to,
conversation.
yeah, a conversation exactly. So
Great.
we'd love to welcome you all, and it's CPD internationally accredited as well, which is a small thing, but it's important as well for certain companies
to get recognition for that.
Get recognition for it as well, you know.
So pendulumsummit.com.
That's it.
January 23rd. Looking forward to it. Thanks for today, Frankie. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, James. Not at all.